Recent reports have shown Michigan's unemployment rate is dropping. But how are we doing overall when it comes to Michigan's economic recovery? Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Hess and this is Comcast Newsmakers. Joining me now is an economics professor from Michigan State University, Charles Ballard. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You must have such an interesting job. Every year when you go to teach and educate our young people, it's a different story, isn't it?
Well, the economy continues to evolve, and I guess the big story in Michigan is that the first decade of this century was really crummy, and it was topped off by a huge recession. And we finally bottomed out about 4 years ago, and we've been making some halfway decent progress. But I'd say it's a mixed picture because we still have a long way to go. Right now, employment, we have gained 300,000 jobs in Michigan in the last 4 years since we bottomed out. But that still puts us more than 500,000 jobs below where we were in 2000.
So even though it sounds like unemployment numbers are getting better and better and better every year, it's when you look at how things are compared to 4 or 5 years ago, it's not such a good picture.
Well, it's better than 4 or 5 years ago, but that 4 or 5 years ago was after a whole decade of losses. And so, and the recession was so deep that the employment in Michigan is still below where it was even in 2007. And the total value of the goods and services that we produce is also still below where it was at its peak, which was in 2005. So we've had a lot of progress in the last 4 years, but the glass is fuller than it was, but I wouldn't say that it's full.
So many people recently seem so optimistic about this great recovery that we're in the middle of, but I don't get that sense from you. You're a little more, are we in the midst of a recovery right now?
We are definitely in the midst of a recovery. Now, the winter that we have just been through was so awful, and
but it's helping out those car shops, right?
Well, that's right. You have more car repairs because of all the potholes. But the U.S. economy actually shrank in the winter, and Michigan's economy was pretty flat the first 5 months of this year that we have data for. I think that after that little bump, we will continue on a recovery, but it's still a recovery that I would say is in second gear. Maybe this will be the year in which we shift into third or fourth, but that remains to be seen.
Where are there some shining little pockets? I hear that housing numbers are looking good. There's less houses on the market. Prices are going up. Is that true in our state?
That's true. We have made some progress in terms of housing after, there was a big price drop in many regions of Michigan, but we're doing a little bit better. There is more construction activity. I'll tell you, there's construction activity on the house that my wife and I are building. So there are bright spots. There is movement forward. But I don't want to portray it as if we've solved all of our problems. We still have unemployment that's far higher than we'd like it to be. And the jobs picture is improving, but not so fast.
So I'm not going to ask you to get political, but are we doing the right things in our state from a statewide regulation and law level to keep the economy growing and doing well, or do we still need to make some changes?
I think we've done some things right, some things not so well. I think we don't support our disadvantaged population as well as I'd like. And the one thing that I would really point to is we've got roads that the people of Michigan deserve a whole lot better. And I am very disappointed that the legislature has not yet been able to come up with that, because letting your roads and bridges crumble is not a good strategy for economic development.
Now you sound like everybody in Lansing that seemingly couldn't get it together, but hopefully when they get back to work in the fall, we'll see something happen with roads. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Today's Comcast Newsmaker was Professor Charles Ballard, an economics professor at MSU.